welcome back to Alpha Deco. Today we are doing another mold making video, but this time we are trying a different silicone, and the silicone is a brand that I got on Amazon. This is what it looks like, and it's from Start Sew World. I just picked this up because it was one of the first ones when you search up silicone mold making kit, and it had good reviews, so let's test it out. This is the blank that we are using for today. It is my small book decor mold. It was one of my first molds available, and there's so much room for creativity with this design. Today we'll be making the mold, and in another video we'll create with it. Here is the kit straight out of the box. I just want to point out that this video is not sponsored. I purchased this kit myself, and this is the first time I am using the silicone. So this is kind of like an unboxing video as well. It has the instructions, some caps, popsicle sticks, small cups, and the kit itself. The ratio is 1:1 by volume, as shown on the bottle itself. The bottles are wrapped up in plastic, so we'll use a scissor to open them up. We are actually going to need this entire kit for the book mold, so we won't be using the caps or the cups. We will be using this total measuring cup here, and we're going to pour both bottles into the bucket, the entire thing. Before we do that, of course, we need to look at the instructions. Here's the sheet that it came with. You can pause the video to take a look, or if you decide to try this out, you can read it when you're working with it. I like to tint my silicone, so I am doing that with Mainspring's Dusk Light Crystal Pigment. I just add a little bit of the mica powder in there. The tinting is just a preference. You can skip this step if you prefer your silicone translucent and go straight to mixing. As I was mixing, I noticed that the silicone was very thin and easy to mix, in comparison to my usual silicone kit at least. You can see that it's almost like water. When you're mixing, make sure you get the sides and the bottom. I believe the instructions says mix for 3 minutes, but I would say mix a little bit longer just in case. Now I am done mixing, and you can see some bubbles in the silicone from the mixing. For this kit though, I am not going to use a vacuum chamber like I usually do. The main reason being that most beginners don't have a vacuum chamber, and I think with the viscosity of this silicone, it should degas itself easily. So once we're done mixing, we'll pour this at a decent height, and I am doing about 12 inches. This is to help with the bubbles a bit. The bubbles only really matter if you are using a pressure pot, because if you put your molds in a pressure pot and it has bubbles, your mold will deform. If you're just doing normal castings and leaving them to cure in your work studio, you'll be okay. We don't use a pressure pot here for any of the pieces we create on this channel, at least not yet, and I don't see that happening in the future. Here is a tip I want to share with you for etched molds. Sometimes bubbles get trapped in the etchings, so to help with that, we use a silicone brush to brush over the etchings. This step is mostly done before the pouring, but I had forgot because the vacuum chamber has allowed me to skip this step. But if your molds have etchings, use a silicone brush to make sure the silicone for your mold gets into the etchings. If you end up with holes or disconnects in your design for your mold because of the bubbles, it will reflect on every single piece you create with the mold. Once the mold is filled to the top, something I like to do with acrylic blanks is to drag the silicone all the way to the edge. This gets trimmed off, but it adds a little bit more depth to the mold, and it makes it a little bit more sturdier. Now let's double check the instructions for the cure time. It says 6 hours in room temperature and 4 hours in 150 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're just doing 10 hours in room temperature, and now we're going to demold it. The mold seems to have cured fine and it feels pretty firm. The demolding feels like a normal mold for me. This is listed the same hardness as the Dragon Skin 20 that I usually use, and it feels about the same. I don't feel or see any spots that didn't cure. The front of the mold looks pretty good as well. I don't see any bubbles in the etchings, and I don't see any bubbles in the mold itself really. You can see my hands right through the mold. Although this doesn't mean there aren't any micro bubbles, but the mold itself looks pretty good and feels totally functional. We'll put this mold to the test next time. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this mold making tutorial helpful, please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments. Before we part, I just want to make note that every silicone kit is different. It has a different process, different work time, bunch of different stuff. If you read the instructions, you will be able to follow along. And if you haven't watched my previous mold making video yet, you should go check that out and see how I work with a different type of silicone. I'll see you there.